Hey guys, Hidden Truths here. Welcome to this new video with a bunch of new stories. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers and I think we can do it with your help. So please subscribe. It would honestly mean a lot to me. Now, let's get right into the stories.
I was standing at the kitchen counter, of all places, pouring pancake batter onto the griddle when the text popped up. Samantha's phone was sitting next to mine, identical models, nearly identical cases, and it buzzed with a tone I didn't recognize. I wouldn't have looked if not for that. I thought it might be a reminder for her birthday. We were supposed to take the kids out to this overpriced animal rescue farm she loved. But it wasn't a reminder. The preview line read, "Your flight lands at 10, can't wait to finish what we started in Denver." I didn't even open it at first. Just stood there, spatula hovering over the bubbling pancakes, my pulse suddenly louder than the sizzle of the pan. My first thought wasn't suspicion. It was confusion. A mistake. Wrong number. But the contact name was saved as D. Not Dave from procurement or Diana from HR. Just D. And when I unlocked her phone, no passcode, ironically, the entire thread unraveled like a fuse burning towards something inevitable. Photos. Flirty texts. Flight itineraries. Voice notes. 9 months of intimacy in neat blue and gray bubbles. And somehow, I just kept scrolling. I don't even remember flipping the pancakes. I think they burned. I think Jonah walked in and asked what Denver was. I think I told him it was where the dinosaurs lived. That's the part that hits me now. The weird, automatic parenting reflex. The numb practicality that settled in. I didn't yell. I didn't throw her phone across the room. I didn't even cry. I just took screenshots of everything, airdropped them to myself, and slipped the phone back on the counter like nothing happened. Samantha came downstairs an hour later, still wearing the big sweater I'd gotten her last Christmas. Hair up, no makeup. She looked exactly like the woman I'd built a life with. She kissed my cheek and said, "Smells good." And I smiled. That's what I remember most. I smiled back. With every cell in my body howling, "Don't you dare give it away." Not yet. Not in front of the kids. I waited until that night, after the kids were asleep. She just finished icing cupcakes for her own birthday, her idea, and I sat down across from her at the dining table. Didn't say anything at first. Just looked at her hands. I always liked her hands. She has this habit of rubbing her left thumb against her ring when she's nervous. Or guilty. I slid my phone across the table. Opened to one of the texts. She looked down. Her face didn't change at first. She just blinked, like her brain hadn't caught up. Then she whispered, "Mike." And then she started sobbing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask why. I just listened to her pour out this monologue of, I was so lonely, and we weren't connecting, and it didn't mean anything. I remember thinking, didn't mean anything. You flew to see him. You lied to your kids. You let me take them to Chuck E. Cheese so you could attend a regional training. Still, I stayed calm. For one reason, Ella and Jonah. They were asleep upstairs, safe in the fiction of, Mom and Dad are fine. I couldn't destroy that in one night. But I also knew something had shattered that couldn't be unshattered. A plate dropped on the floor might still be a plate, but you'd never eat off it again without tasting the cracks. The next morning, I drove the kids to school. I put on a podcast. I asked Ella how her math test went. I told Jonah we'd start planning his birthday party soon. And when I got home, I opened a fresh folder on my laptop. Title, Contingency, Lawson Divorce. I copied over every screenshot. Every flight receipt. Every hotel confirmation. Every blurry, smirking photo of a man I didn't recognize yet. That's when the panic hit me, not rage, not heartbreak, just cold, logistical panic. How do I keep my kids stable through this? How do I protect them from the wreckage of two adults who broke their promises? I didn't know the answers. But I started recording voice memos that night. Just a way to keep my head straight. What you're hearing now, this story, is the archive of those nights. It all started the night before Sam's birthday. And nothing has been the same since. The night after I found the texts, Sam slept in our bed. I slept on the couch, wide awake, staring at the ceiling fan like it might suddenly offer advice. In the morning, she acted like a ghost of herself. No makeup, no earrings, none of the usual birthday sparkle. She sat at the kitchen table in her robe, drinking coffee that had gone cold in her hands. I asked if she wanted me to cancel the dinner reservation. She nodded. We told the kids Mom wasn't feeling great. Ella offered to bring her toast in bed. Jonah drew her a picture of a dragon playing the piano. I almost lost it right there, watching her try to smile through watery eyes. After I dropped them off at school, I came home and sat down across from her again. She looked worse than the night before. I think guilt is a kind of gravity, it pulls everything down. Your shoulders, your voice, your sense of who you are. I never planned for it to go that far, she said. I didn't respond. He was exciting, she added, in this small, broken voice. I remember nodding. Just nodding. Not because I forgave it, but because I understood what she thought she'd found. That artificial rush, the one that hits like oxygen after years of stale compromise. I'd felt the drift between us, too. We both had. But I'd assumed, stupidly, that drift was survivable. I don't love him, she said. It wasn't about that. I said, but you lied. For almost a year. And she didn't deny it. Just stared at the floor and whispered, I know. 2 days later, I moved into the guest room. She tried to protest. Said we should talk more. That she wanted to do counseling, to make things right. I said I needed space. That night, I started recording the voice journal. I'd read somewhere that grief doesn't always show up as tears, sometimes it shows up as static. Like you're tuned to the wrong frequency and everyone else is living life in full color while you're stuck in grayscale. So I sat on the edge of the bed, phone in my hand, talking into the dark. Entry 1, I whispered. I think I'm still in shock. I feel like a guy watching his house burn down and trying to remember where he left the fire extinguisher. That was the first night I didn't cry. The second night I did. The kids knew something was off by day 4. Ella came into the guest room while I was folding laundry and asked, why are your socks in here now? I said I snore too loud. She raised an eyebrow and said, you never used to. That's when I realized, you can't outsmart a 9-year-old girl with empathy. That night, I overheard her whispering to Jonah in their room, I think Mommy's sad. I heard her crying in the kitchen. It took everything in me not to walk in and confess the whole ugly truth. But I didn't want their picture of her to be ruined. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Sam and I had a whispered conversation the next morning before they woke up. I told her I was documenting everything, that I wasn't making any decisions in the dark. She asked what that meant. I said I was consulting a lawyer. That I wasn't rushing. But also not pretending. She looked like she'd been punched. Are you saying it's over? She asked. I said, I'm saying you made a choice. Now I have to make mine. That same week, I started researching therapists for the kids. I didn't want to drop the word divorce into their laps like a piano out of the sky. I wanted a gradual reveal, something they could survive without becoming collateral damage. I also started walking during lunch breaks. Just walking, no phone, no podcasts. It helped clear my head. One day I found myself walking past the park where we used to take the kids when they were toddlers. I stood by the old swing set and felt this Weird ache. Like something had been dug out of me. Not just the marriage, the future I thought was guaranteed. All those quiet assumptions you make when you trust someone. Holidays, high school graduations, late-night movies when the kids are asleep. Gone. Just gone. I came back from one of those walks to find Sam sitting on the front steps, staring at her wedding ring. She didn't say a word. Just slipped it off her finger and handed it to me like it was something she'd borrowed. I didn't take it. She laid it gently on the railing and walked back inside. That night, I picked it up and put it in the drawer next to the emergency flashlight. Felt appropriate, somehow. I filed the divorce papers on a Monday. I didn't tell her right away, not because I wanted to be sneaky, but because I needed time to brace myself for the second wave, telling the kids. The lawyer was professional, kind. She'd handled a lot of cases like mine. She said, "You're doing the right thing, Mike. Just take it slow and protect your kids normal as much as you can." Normal. What a strange word for a life that felt like an abandoned house. Still standing, but empty. Cold. Quiet. I waited a full week after filing before I told Sam. We sat at the kitchen table again, that same table where we used to play Monopoly with Ella while Jonah made up rules about lava floors. This time there were manila envelopes between us. "I filed," I said. "Last week." She didn't cry. She just nodded, like part of her had already packed and left. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." We both knew it had to happen. She had made her choice. Now I was making mine. The kids started asking more questions once the guest room became my permanent address. Ella was the first to say it out loud. "Are you and Mom getting a divorce?" I was brushing her hair, sitting on the edge of her bed. I froze for a second, then resumed slowly, carefully. "Yeah," I said. "We are." She went quiet for a while. Then, "Is it because of us?" "No," I said immediately. "Not at all. Nothing you did or didn't do. Sometimes grown-ups grow apart. But we love you so much. That's never changing." She nodded. Didn't cry. Just hugged me harder than usual. Jonah took it differently. He got quiet for a few days, then started acting out at school, nothing major, just the kind of low-grade rebellion that says something's not okay but I don't know how to say it. His teacher called and gently asked if there was anything going on at home. I said, "We're in the middle of a divorce." She said, "That explains a lot." Sam wanted joint custody. She said it over tea like we were discussing new curtains. "I think 50-50 would be best," she said. "That way they have stability. Consistency." I looked at her and said, "Stability is not 2 backpacks and a suitcase every 3 days." We agreed to mediation. I made it clear I wasn't trying to punish her, but I was prioritizing the kids' needs. I had documentation. A stable job. No boyfriend 2 states away. Ella and Jonah weren't officially asked their preference, but during a supervised session, Ella told the child advocate, "I feel safer when I'm at Dad's. And Jonah sleeps better there." That was enough. The judge granted me 70/30ths custody. Sam would get every other weekend and 1 weeknight. I didn't cheer. I just exhaled. A long, quiet breath I'd been holding since Denver became a household word I couldn't say aloud. After the hearing, we took the kids out for ice cream. A symbolic olive branch. We sat at opposite ends of the booth and let them smear chocolate on their faces like it was any other summer day. Later that night, Ella came into my room with one of her stuffed animals, the worn-out bunny she used to sleep with when she was 3. "Can I sleep here tonight?" she asked. I made room. She didn't say anything else. Just curled up next to me and held my hand. Like she was anchoring herself to something unmoving. I whispered, "You okay, Peanut?" She nodded against my arm. Still love Mom? I asked. Another nod. That's good, I said. You're allowed to. Always. 3 days later, I found Jonah quietly stacking his Lego sets in one corner of the room. I asked what he was doing. He said, making a house where everything stays in one place. That one nearly broke me. I walked outside, sat on the porch steps, and just let the air hit me. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but I think I was too tired. Grief is strange like that, it doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as silence. Sam called me that weekend to say the kids didn't want to come over. That they said they missed me too much. I said, we can make up your time later. She didn't argue. Just said, thanks, and hung up. I watched the kids chase each other in the yard, barefoot and laughing, and thought, I didn't want any of this. But I will give them everything I have left. Because betrayal breaks people. But it doesn't have to break them. About 2 months after the custody ruling, Sam moved in with him. With Dylan. Yeah. That Dylan. The guy from the texts. From Denver. From all the lies. She didn't tell me at first. I found out because Ella mentioned a new apartment with a loud guy. When I asked what she meant, she said, Mom's friend Dylan lives there now. I kept my face neutral. Nodded like it was no big deal. But inside? Something twisted. Not out of jealousy, I was long past that. No, this was different. It was dread. I didn't know much about him. Still don't. But what I did know from those screenshots and a few quiet Google searches wasn't great. Divorce record. Job hopping. Public outbursts on Facebook. One post from 2 years ago, if you can't handle my temper, don't light my fuse. Charming. Still, I said nothing. No legal grounds, no proof of danger. Just, instinct. And instinct doesn't hold up in family court. First red flag came during a Sunday night call. Mike, Sam whispered. Are the kids still awake? No, why? I needed to hear a calm voice. That stopped me cold. What's going on? I asked. Nothing. It's fine. We had a fight. He gets worked up sometimes, but it's not, he didn't hurt me. I just needed a minute. She hung up before I could say more. I sat there staring at the phone, my hands sweating. Not hurt. Just needed a minute. Right. Next day, I added a note to my custody journal. Date. Time. Her exact words. I also called my lawyer. Start keeping records, she said. It might matter later. So I did. The calls kept coming. Late. Quiet. Sometimes after midnight. One time, I picked up and she was crying. Not full sobs. Just that shallow, tight breathing you recognize immediately if you've ever lived with fear. He gets so jealous, she whispered. Thinks I'm still talking to other people. Keeps asking about you. Like he thinks we're sneaking around. We're not, I said. I know. But it's like he wants a fight. That night, I made a decision I still haven't told her about. I bought a GPS tracker, one of those discreet little apps you can install for safety purposes. And I synced it to her phone. I know how that sounds. But it wasn't about her. It was for the kids. If she left them alone with him, if she ever disappeared and didn't answer. I needed to know where they were. I justified it like this, I wasn't invading her privacy. I was extending their safety net. One night, around 2:30 a.m., my phone buzzed. Sam. Again. I answered on the second ring. Her voice was shaky. He threw my phone. Where are you? In the parking lot. I ran out. He locked the door behind me. I was already putting on shoes. Are the kids with you? No, they're at your place. I wouldn't have called if they weren't. My pulse eased just enough to function. Where are you right now? I asked. She rattled off an address near a hospital. Her voice was small. I don't know what to do. You're going to stay on the line with me, I said. And you're going to let me help, not because I still love you, but because our kids need their mother safe. I picked her up 10 minutes later. Her lip was split. Hair tangled. No shoes. We sat in the dark outside the ER. She didn't want to go in. Said there was no point, no charges. I didn't press her. But I handed her an ice pack from the glove box and said, you need to file a restraining order. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. She stared at it, then at me. I don't know how to be alone, she whispered. I know, I said. But staying with someone who chips away at you isn't better. It's just slower. We filed the papers the next morning. She used the bruising on her arm as evidence, along with texts he'd sent that night. The judge granted a temporary protective order. Dylan never showed up to contest it. Just disappeared, apparently. She moved into a women's shelter for a few weeks, then got her own place. A small one-bedroom near the kids' school. She never asked to change the custody arrangement. Not once. She still doesn't know I tracked her phone. But I deleted the app the day after Dylan left town. Because it wasn't about her. It was never about her. It was about making sure my kids didn't watch their mother get swallowed by someone else's anger. Sam called me from a hospital parking lot just after 6 p.m. on a Thursday. I was picking up Jonah from soccer practice when her name lit up my screen. She never called during pickup. I answered with that low, anxious tone parents get when something might be wrong. I need help, she said, her voice ragged. Please. Can you come? She was at the urgent care center just outside her new apartment complex. I asked if she was hurt. She said, not bad. Just scared. By the time I got there, the sun had dipped behind the trees. Ella stayed in the car with Jonah, both of them watching something animated on her iPad. I told them I had to help Mom with something and I'd be right back. Sam was sitting on the curb, hoodie over her head, clutching a cold pack to her wrist. He came back, she said. Pounded on the windows. Said I owed him. Then he tried the door. She looked up at me, eyes swollen but dry. I didn't open it. I froze. But he kept yelling. And the wrist? I asked. I slipped trying to call 911. Dropped the phone on my hand. She let out a bitter little laugh. Technically, he didn't lay a finger on me tonight. Guess that counts as progress. I didn't say anything for a while. Just crouched beside her and handed her my water bottle. We sat like that for maybe 10 minutes. No talk of the past. No blame. Just two people trying not to be two broken people in front of their kids. Then I stood up and said, let's get the paperwork done. She nodded. We went inside together and filed the restraining order extension. I didn't go in the room with her, I waited in the hallway, flipping through pamphlets about joint custody and crisis de-escalation, but when she came out, she looked steadier. Still shaken. Still tired. But steadier. We didn't talk about the old days. Or the affair. Or Denver. That chapter was closed. But I told her I'd help her find a counselor. A good one. And she said, I don't deserve that. You do, I replied. For the kids. She didn't argue. The kids never really asked what happened to Dylan. I think they just accepted it, one day he was there, then he wasn't. Sam told them he moved away for work. That was the agreed story. Ella gave me a look when she heard it, the kind of look that says I don't believe you, but I'll let you have this one. Jonah didn't care. He just wanted to know if Mom would still come to his school play. She did. Sat beside me in the second row and clapped too hard when he bowed. I caught her wiping her eyes when he waved at us with both hands, proud as ever. Afterward, she whispered, "Thank you. I didn't ask for what. I didn't need to know. It's been 3 months since then. Things are stable. Maybe not perfect, but real. The kids spend most of their time at my place. We've developed our own rhythm, Taco Tuesdays, backyard movie nights, bedtime debates over whose turn it is to pick the book. They laugh more now. Sleep deeper. They don't flinch when the doorbell rings. Sam's rebuilding. She's going to therapy. Got a part-time job at a local bakery. She texts me photos of the kids when they're with her, not because she has to, but because she wants to keep me connected. We're not friends. But we're functional. And that's enough. People always ask me, quietly, like they're asking something shameful, why I didn't give her another chance. 11 years, Mike. Don't you think that's worth fighting for? Maybe it is. For some people. But here's the thing, forgiveness doesn't mean you walk back into the fire. Sometimes it means you honor what was, without pretending it still is. She made a choice. A long, repeated one. And I made a choice, too. Not to hate her. But not to stay. Because I've got 2 small people watching what love looks like. How it ends. How it holds up under weight. I want them to know that loving someone doesn't mean abandoning yourself. That second chances aren't always safe. And that peace, even if it comes after pain, is still peace. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm just different now. And so are they. Some bridges aren't burned, they're demolished for the safety of the people still crossing.